Welcome back to another deep dive. This time, we're really putting that grifter versus gifted question to
Hmm.
the test with British politician James Cleverly.
Oh, he's a good one. I mean, how do you go from local politics all the way to foreign secretary? I mean, is it sheer talent, or is there something a little bit more, let's say, strategic going
Well,
on?
that's what we're here to find out.
Exactly.
We've got a pretty good stack of sources for this deep dive.
Yeah, we've got his Wikipedia entry, bunch of articles from the Times, BBC News, Guardian, The Sun, The Independent,
Wow.
even a little snippet from the Financial Times.
Okay, so we're going deep.
Oh, yeah.
So let's kick things off with the basics. Where does James Cleverly's story even begin?
Well, he was born in London.
Okay.
British father, Sierra Leonean mother, studied hospitality management, believe it or not, though he did eventually get an arts degree too.
Hospitality management.
Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Not exactly the typical path to politics, is it? Makes you wonder if maybe politics was always the end game, or if it was kind of a later life pivot.
It's a good question. What's driving this guy? And then you add in his military service. Army Reserve officer, reached the rank of lieutenant colonel.
Okay, so now we've got a diverse background, military experience,
Arts degree.
hospitality management.
Hospitality, yeah.
I mean, it's a lot to unpack.
It is, and it kind of makes you wonder, right? Is this like the ultimate well-rounded individual?
Yeah.
Or is it all part of a very carefully constructed image, trying to appeal to everyone?
Well, that's classic politician, right?
Yeah.
Present yourself as this relatable everyman,
Yeah,
when in reality, you might be anything but.
absolutely. I mean, and it works, right? People are naturally drawn to those they see as similar to themselves. But is it genuine? That's what we got to figure out.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of his political career then. And from what I've gathered, his rise was pretty meteoric. Started in local politics, serving on the London Assembly back in 2008.
Yeah, and he moved up the ladder there pretty quick. Deputy mayor for policing was one of his roles. And then 2015, boom, MP for Braintree.
So local politics to parliament in, what, 7 years?
Yep.
That's impressive. I mean, that's ambitious, even for a politician.
Right.
But it's what happens after that that really starts raising some eyebrows.
Oh, yeah, from 2015 onwards. It's a whirlwind. I mean, hold on. Parliamentary Undersecretary of State, Minister without portfolio, Minister of State for the Middle East and North Africa, Minister of State for Europe and North America, and then finally 2022 Foreign Secretary.
That is a lot of titles.
That is a lot, and that is fast.
Like skipping steps almost.
It makes you wonder, did he even have the experience for all those roles? Or was there something else at play? Maybe some powerful friends in the Conservative Party?
Okay, so the rapid ascent might not be all about talent then. Maybe it's more about political maneuvering. Starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah, it's a pattern worth paying attention to. But before we go too far down that road, we can't forget about some of the controversies along the way.
Oh, right. He's had a few of those, hasn't he?
Yeah. November 2023 had to apologize for using inappropriate language in the House of Commons directed at a Labour MP.
The infamous inappropriate language incident.
Yeah, from what I read, it was a bit more than just inappropriate. He used a pretty offensive term to describe the MP's constituency, according to reports. Not very diplomatic.
Definitely not. And then, of course, we have the Rohypnol joke. Just a month later, admits to making an ironic joke about spiking a woman's drink.
At a reception at 10 Downing Street, no less.
Yeah, not exactly a casual slip-up. It makes you think, does he understand the seriousness of these issues? Or is he just, I don't know, indifferent?
It's a worrying thought, isn't it? And it really makes you question his character.
Okay, so we've got this carefully crafted image. We've got the lightning-fast rise to power. We've got some pretty serious gaffes. This is shaping up to be quite the deep dive.
Oh, it is. And we're just getting started. Next up, we'll be diving into his stances on Brexit and that Rwanda asylum plan.
Now, those are two hot-button issues. Buckle up, everyone. This is going to get interesting.
Okay, so Brexit. Cleverly was all in for leave, wanted tougher immigration policies too. It's like he had this instinct for knowing what would get people riled up, and he wasn't afraid to use that.
And when you tap into those anxieties, it's powerful stuff. People get scared, they get angry, and they vote accordingly. But is it genuine concern or just calculated politics? That's the thing, right?
It's hard to say,
I'm
but if
sorry.
we're looking at calculated politics, well, the Rwanda asylum plan, that's a prime example.
Oh, absolutely. Sending asylum seekers to Rwanda. It sparked international outrage. People called it inhumane. Said it violated international law.
Yeah, a lot of controversy there. But Cleverly's defense was that it was a necessary evil, basically, a deterrent for illegal crossings. Stop the people smugglers, save lives, that whole argument.
Right, but his critics argued that it was just passing the buck, shifting the problem to another country without actually dealing with the reasons people are fleeing their homes in the first place.
Exactly. And then there's Cleverly's response to Labor's opposition to the Rwanda plan. Oh, he went after them hard.
Yeah, he basically said they are making things worse. Claimed removing the deterrent would just mean more people risking their lives trying to cross the channel.
Arrivals will go through the roof, he said.
I mean, that's some pretty strong language.
It is. It's that alarmist rhetoric again, trying to scare people into supporting his side.
Yeah, and it's effective. When you create that sense of urgency, people panic. They start looking for quick fixes, even if those fixes might be, well, ethically questionable.
Yeah, and that's what makes this so tricky. Is he really acting in the best interest of the UK? Or is he just playing the political game, using whatever tactic works to get ahead?
Okay, so we've got this pattern emerging, right? Strong rhetoric, controversial stances, accusations of putting his own political gain above, actual people's well-being. It's not looking great for the gifted side of things, is it?
It's not. But before we jump to conclusions, I think we should take a look at some other aspects of his life, beyond the political arena.
Good point. We know he's been married to Susanna Sparks since 2000. 2 sons.
They met at a Conservative Future event, actually. That's the youth wing of the Conservative Party.
Interesting. Politics running deep in the family then. And then, of course, there's Susanna's battle with breast cancer, triple negative, which is a particularly aggressive form. She was diagnosed back in 2021. Cleverly was very public about it, talked about her treatment, advocated for cancer awareness.
Yeah, that was a tough time for them. And you have to wonder, how did that experience change him? Did it make him more empathetic, more aware of the struggles people face?
Right. You'd think going through something like that would soften you, make you more compassionate. But did it? Or did it just make him more focused on his own ambitions?
Hard to say. It's something to keep in mind as we go through the rest of this.
Okay, before we get too deep into that, I want to touch on something else that popped up in our research. Cleverly's a wargaming enthusiast.
Wargaming? Huh?
Yeah, like miniature figures, battle strategies, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Apparently he's pretty serious about it. Even has a private YouTube channel for painting the figures.
Interesting hobby for a politician.
Right. I mean, you have to wonder, do those wargaming skills translate to the political arena? Thinking strategically, outmaneuvering opponents, it all kind of fits, doesn't it?
It does make you wonder, is politics just a game to him? Is he just playing to win no matter the cost?
Maybe. Or maybe it's just a hobby. We all need an outlet.
Later, but it's definitely part of who he is, and understanding his personal life, his hobbies, it all helps us piece together the puzzle of James Cleverly. Is he genuine? Is he manipulative?
So we've got this wargaming enthusiast, someone who's dealt with a lot on a personal level, someone willing to take those controversial stances. What else do we need to look at before we can make a judgment?
Well, I think his leadership bid is crucial. That was a big moment in his career, and it might just reveal something about his true motivations. So 2024, Cleverly goes for it, throws his hat in the ring for Conservative Party leader. I mean, only 9 years an MP at that point. It was a bold move.
Yeah, and a lot of people thought, no way! But he did really well in the first round.
Second place.
Yeah, people were like, okay, maybe this guy actually has a shot.
Right. But then, round 3, out of the race.
See, that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. Is he a mastermind who just got outplayed? Or was he the one playing everyone else all along and it just, backfired?
That's a good question. And then what does he do after the loss? Doesn't take a position in the new leader's shadow cabinet. Goes back to the backbenches.
Which you could see as, like, sour grapes, right?
Yeah, I'm not playing with you guys anymore.
But maybe it's strategic?
Maybe. Biding his time, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Or maybe he just thought, you know what, I can do more good from here. I don't need a fancy title.
So is it humility? Is it calculation? I mean, every time we think we're getting a handle on this guy, another layer pops up?
It's like peeling an onion. More layers, more questions.
Okay, but before we try to make sense of all that, there's one more thing we need to look at. His time as education secretary.
Right, that's where we see those policy decisions actually playing out in the real world.
And they weren't all sunshine and rainbows. I mean, there was a lot of controversy around his decision to close fire stations in Essex.
Yeah, budget cuts over public safety, some people said.
Which doesn't really line up with the whole man of the people image, does it?
It makes you think, How much of his concern for the common good is real, or is it just something he says when it's convenient?
Okay, so we've gone through a lot here. The background, the controversies, those policy decisions. What's the verdict? Is James cleverly a visionary who wants to make the UK better? Or is he just in it for himself?
I don't know that we can say for sure. He's got the charisma, he's definitely smart, but he's also got that ruthless streak. Maybe he's a little bit of both.
I think you're right. It's rarely black and white with these guys.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important to do these deep dives. Look at all sides, think critically.
So to our listeners, we've laid it all out there. The good, the bad, the complicated. Now it's up to you. Grifter or gifted? You decide.